Hey friends, it's Mrs. Johnson, and we are getting back into Ada Twist and the Perilous Pants. We haven't read this in a while, so Miss Johnson is probably going to try to get in 4 chapters today. So we are in chapter 5. We'll be doing chapter 5 and chapter 6 together, as well as chapter 7 and chapter 8 in our next video. So chapter 5, and in her notebook beside it, we have things to remember. Don't take author's stuff, such as his tennis ball, his smelly shoe, his stinky sock, and his tennis racket. All of them have pictures drawn beside it, but only the smelly shoe and stinky sock are labeled. Chapter 5. Ada poked the thing with her finger. It was softer than a tree. Poke, poke. Poke, poke. Cut it out. It was noisier than a tree. Ada peeked under the bandana. She saw a pair of feet in striped socks. She knew those socks. It was Arthur. He stood there, tapping his foot and pointing at his shoe. "Hi, Arthur," said Ada, taking off the bandana. "Did you come to help?" "No," he said in a cranky voice. "I want my tennis shoes back. Stop using my stuff." "But you have the stinkiest feet," said Ada. She meant it as a compliment. Arthur did not take it as a compliment. He frowned and tapped his foot faster. "Look," said Ada, holding up a notebook. "The hot shoe is stinkier than the cold one. I thought it would be." She smiled hopefully at Arthur, who frowned harder and crammed his right foot into the cold shoe. "Ick!" yelled Arthur, and he pulled his foot out. A glob of frozen purple popsicles stuck to his sock. "Why is there a purple popsicle in my shoe?" he asked. If we look, we have the picture of Arthur looking down at Ada, with a bandana just popping over one of her eyes, the other one still covered. Her face looks like she's kind of nervous, like hoping that he'll be okay with it. Arthur is just very upset with her, has one eyebrow up. The cat is looking into the shoe like, what is this purple glop just coming out of his shoe? So it's a pretty funny picture. To me it is. Anyway, those dynamics that you have between brothers and sisters or siblings.
1.
Press the wrong button. Let me try again. So he asked her why was there a purple popsicle in his shoe, and then she answered, "Because we didn't have any red ones," said Ada. "Do you think a red popsicle would make the shoe colder than a purple one? I could do an experiment to find out." Ada jotted a note. Arthur rolled his eyes. He picked up the left shoe, and 3 hard-boiled eggs tumbled out. "That's the hot shoe," said Ada. The boiled eggs heated it really fast. Ada could see that Arthur was not happy. Maybe he didn't understand what she was trying to do. She tried to explain. "The hot molecules go really fast and bounce around," said Ada. "Then the smells go like this." Ada pointed wildly this way and that and added a high-pitched zoop, zoop noise for special effect. "And the cold molecules are slow," said Ada. She pointed slowly this way and that way and added a low-pitched phew, phew sound. "But they're all silent," said Ada, repeating the gesture silently. "And they're all way faster than my fingers. And they are really tiny. There's no way you could see them. And," Arthur made a ugh kind of sound and rolled his eyes. He grabbed his sneakers by the laces and trudged back toward the house. And in the picture you can see Ada pointing fast as well as pointing slow each which way. "There were lots of smell molecules in there," said Ada. "They hit my nose, and then the receptor cells, and then my brain goes, zowie! And here, I'll draw you a picture." Arthur kept walking. Your stinky feet were made for science, Ada yelled as Arthur reached the house. The door slammed behind him. Said Ada. Arthur didn't get it. Ada knew what she wanted him to understand, but when she tried to... Okay, I thought it wasn't recording. I apologize, friend. Let me start that again. Arthur didn't get it. Ada knew what she wanted him to understand, but when she tried to explain, all her ideas seemed to burst out at the same time, and then everything got jumbled. Why did that always happen to Ada? Ada sat beneath the tree and thought, why did all her ideas want to get out at the same time? Did other people's ideas do that too? Could she do an experiment to find out? Could her friends Rosie Revere and Iggy Peck help her? Ada smiled. She loved working with her friends, and they always had great ideas. That would be a fun project to work on one day. The thought of it made her feel better. Ada went back to her notes. She was happy with the results of her stink experiment. She had hoped for more data, but even with only 8 tries instead of dozens, she could see a pattern. The data seemed to confirm her hypothesis that the hot shoe was the stinkiest. But she needed more data to be sure. Ada was about to design Ada was about to design a new hot stink experiment when a bird chirped in the tree above her. Uh-oh, Ada said. I almost forgot. It's birding time. Chapter 6. Now, before we get into chapter 6, that in her notebook she has written down the word birds in bubble letters where they're kind of bigger than normal. And so then she drew 4 different pictures. The first one is of a crow, which is a bird with a slim beak and black feathers. Then she has the woodpecker underneath of it. And all of these are labeled, where it has a black head at the top, or kind of looking like black hair, a thin beak, as well as a thin body with feathers kind of going towards the back of him. Then we have a northern flicker, which has like a white belly and chest with little black lines on it or streaks on it, a black neck, or a black part to his neck, which almost looks like a big necklace on him, as well as his wings stretched out, as well as the tiny beak, and then a bahonkus, which basically looks like a person or a stick figure where they just draw like the circle for the head, a line going down for the body, and then arms going out as well as legs going out. Now, it looks like that, but also it has these humongous pants that look like they've been blown up. And back in my day, they would have been called hammer pants. So this might be a bahonkus with a lot of question marks around the word bahonkus. So let's find out what the heck a bahonkus is. Chapter 6. Ada grabbed her binoculars and came back to the tree. The great backyard bird count was only a few weeks away. Every year on the same day, Ada joined people around the world who counted birds in their own in their own yards. Then they all shared the data they collected. That data told scientists how many birds there were and where they lived and where they traveled. Ada practiced identifying birds every day. She studied pictures and knew many birds by sight. She wanted to know bird calls too. Ada listened to the birds in the tree. Caw, caw, caw. Crow, she said. Knock, knock, knock. Woodpecker. Tap, tap, tap. Northern flicker. Oops. Oops, said Ada. I don't know that one. She listened again. Oh, no. Oh, no, said Ada. What kind of bird sounds like that? She looked through her binoculars. Zowie, said Ada. That's not a bird. That's not a plane. That's a bahonkus. Ada was right. It was a bahonkus. A very big bahonkus, and it belonged to a very skinny man with a very big mustache and a very, very big pair of pants. They were the biggest pants Ada had ever seen. They were fluffy and puffy, and they were floating above the tree. And that wasn't just any man. That was Uncle Ned. Ada turned to see her friends Rosie Revere and Iggy Peck running toward her. They were shouting and waving their arms. "Stop that, Uncle!" yelled Rosie. Ada looked up. A long rope dangling from Uncle Ned's waist. It was snagged on a branch at the top of the tree. Rosie and Iggy skidded to a halt next to Ada. They were out of breath and their faces were bright red. "Hi," said Ada. "Thanks for catching Uncle Ned," said Rosie. "We've been chasing him all over Blue River Creek." "Why is he flying around?" asked Ada. "Is it an experiment? I love experiments. Is it an experiment about flying? Wind? Birds? Leaves? Clouds? Is it about weather? It's about getting me down," yelled Uncle Ned. "We're trying," said Rosie. "Why are his pants floating?" asked Ada. "Are they filled with gas?" "I heard that," called Uncle Ned. "They're filled with helium gas, which is lighter than air," said Rosie. "I made them for him when I was younger." "Sometimes he wears them on a walk," said Iggy. "Though I guess it's a float because someone else is doing the walking. They hold the rope so Uncle Ned doesn't fly off." Flying around in helium pants was dangerous. It was hazardous. It was perilous. It was also really cool. So notice how they use the words dangerous, hazardous, perilous. My friends, we have stumbled across synonyms, words that mean about the same thing. That hazardous and perilous also mean dangerous. "Uncle Fred was holding the rope today," said Rosie, "and then he saw a—" "Let me guess," said Ada. "Did Uncle Fred see a snake?" Rosie nodded. Everyone knew her Uncle Fred. He was the zookeeper in Blue River Creek. Everyone also knew that Uncle Fred loved snakes. And they loved him. He found them everywhere he went. It always led to trouble. "He picked up the snake," Rosie said, and he let go of the rope," said Ada. "What kind of snake was it?" "An annoying one," yelled Uncle Fred. "Get me down from here." And then we go into chapter 7. Thanks for tuning in, friends, and come back to our next session.